Good morning, evening, afternoon, folks. Wherever this stream or video finds you, Twitch or YouTube, you're so welcome. Welcome to the Games Done Quick channel, where in between our mainline events, Summer Games Done Quick and Awesome Games Done Quick, we host these hotfixes. Before I go on to explain a little more about hotfix and what we're going to be seeing today on Going Places, reminder that Summer Games Done Quick is pretty much around the corner. It's coming up at the end of this month. If you don't know about what to expect for Summer Games Done Quick, you can go to gamesdonequick.com to find out more about what we're going to be doing, where it's going to be, and what games we're going to be playing, because there's a full week of gaming that I'm sure you want to see what's going on. So yeah, do join us when we go live on that one. But do stick around as well, because we have hotfix action not only tonight but also this weekend. We're going to be having the Juneteenth celebration starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can use !Juneteenth in the Twitch chat to check out the schedule. But this is the sort of regular hotfix scheduling. We have been going into series recently. We are on to the second series, or seasons. It's one or the other. Anyway. We are on to the second one. Going Places is returning for another, and Going Places I like to describe as sort of a speedrun travel show, where we have a look at either region exclusive games or portable, like handheld games, is what I would say. Now, for the longest time, in fact, when I pitched this show, I knew that there were a couple games that I wanted to see because I had heard of their differences when it comes to their release by region. And, you know, I could go into the detail of things, but I have somebody who's much better qualified to go into the detail of things. I am here with Bradley, who's about to show us Spyro the Dragon, but it's going to be looking a little bit different to what we might be used to. But Bradley, how are you doing, first and foremost?
I am doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I know it's late for us on this side of the pond, but we're staying strong, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what makes this version of the game so unique.
Yeah, so yeah, this is just going to be a normal playthrough of Spyro 1, I reassure you. Nothing will be weird out of the gate. It's purely just in Japanese, you know? So yeah, if we're all ready to go, you will count us in.
Yeah, we're ready.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
And hello everybody, I hope you're all doing well. I'd sort of give it sort of an introduction to myself. I am Bradley, or whatever you want. We're on Twitch, YouTube, all of those different sort of platforms. I am known as Yes41. I have been in the Spyro speedrun community for quite a long time and sort of built up a name as being the sort of miscellaneous player. I will play anything and everything when it comes to sort of the original trilogy and even some of the extensions, especially Spyro Enter the Dragonfly. The category I'm doing here in Spyro 1, which happens to be the Japanese version, is I will be doing 80 Dragons. It's sort of an extension to Any Percent that involves basically going through the entire game and all of its levels and grabbing all of the dragons that are in the game. But you're going to notice that things are quite a lot different than what you probably remember about the Spyro 1 experience. Firstly, you probably don't remember all of the signs being around, and you probably don't remember the camera being as zoomed out and also slow. But yeah, welcome to some of the major changes that were made in Spyro 1 and even its sequel Spyro 2 that actually resulted in the Japanese versions of these games completely falling out of favour. So much so, actually, that the Japanese version of Spyro 3 never got released. Yeah.
I mean, from what I'd heard is like the whole point that they, they made the differences, they made these variations is to appeal to the different audience, but it did, like, even that didn't work. I wonder if they'd, just kind of kept the same things from the games that came out in the West, whether that would have done well or even worse, who knows?
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is like a lot of it, well, the changes are specifically for like the camera and like the charging speed. They did it for a purpose of, one, making Spyro look more cute, which obviously is sort of a Japanese thing.
Yeah.
But also to sort of combat the motion sickness issue that Spyro 1 actually had for a lot of children. Like Spyro 1's a very fast-paced game, especially if you like see high-tier speedruns of it. Like, Spyro 1 is a very fast-paced game, and there's a lot happening at once. So the Japanese audience, well, the Japanese developers tried to sort of slow everything down to make it easier. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I think they just made it worse.
I mean, trust a speedrunner to be brutally honest about their game. Like, this is, you're hearing truth here, folks.
Yeah, like literally, the three biggest changes are what you've already seen. One, the charging speed is slower, so the fastest movement is actually jump charging, which is what's causing Spyro to be extremely noisy.
Two,
the really different camera, and then also there are signs everywhere, because what would my Spyro the Dragon game be without a lot of lore that was previously non-existent?
Oh, so they're not even really instructions, they're just, oh, this is what's happening, and...
Yeah, so,
okay.
Well, there's different types of signs. You've got the lore signs, you've got information signs, you've got tutorial signs. I have no idea what any of them say, but I'm sure they're very exciting.
Yeah. So
far there's been not really any sort of like major skips or anything like that. In terms of Spyro 1 and its overall gameplay, it's generally kept very intact, and this even extends to any percent. We don't really have like massive skips for like large portions of this game, but we have a lot of sort of skips within the levels, and you've already seen a couple of those with a jump up onto the hills in Stone Hill.
Yeah.
And a jump also to get to the end portion of Jump Square. I did actually have the Japanese name at some point, but I cannot remember most of them off the top of my head.
Oh, do they translate differently, or are they just what they are in there?
They do translate differently. So all of the home worlds are called gardens.
Oh, that's nice.
So Artisans in this case is Green Garden because it's green.
No way. Very creative.
Then I know Town Square is still Town Square, but yeah, I'm just trying to remember some of the actual like other names. Also, that was the camera, right? All right, yeah. Toasty's got a fantastic name. It's Wonder Pumpkin.
Oh wow, that's a bit of a change. Yeah, I know we mentioned it earlier, but I do implore folks to have a look at the Japanese cover of this game, because he has a little bit of that, a little bit of slyness in most of his Western covers, and then in the Japanese cover, he's just like, he wouldn't hurt a fly.
Yeah, a lot of the Japanese artwork is extremely stylized and is trying to make everything look really cutesy, but let's be honest, Spyro 1 is not really a cute looking game. Spyro 1 looks absolutely amazing, but it's not a cutesy game.
It's got nice colours, but beyond that, it's, yeah.
It has a lot of sharp edges and a lot of sort of... I wouldn't exactly call it rustic tones, but it's definitely not sort of 100% baked in fantasy.
Yeah, and if they really wanted to go down the cartoony route, it's not like they didn't have that option with this hardware. If they really wanted to push into that, it's it's cartoony in the sense of and slightly anthropomorphized animals doing their things, but beyond that, Someone pointed out that the Japanese cover text is where the name Ripto comes from.
Yes, so quite literally they got the name for the Spyro 2 boss from the Japanese translation of Spyro. It was just it reads like Ripto, so that would be the name of the Spyro 2 boss.
Hey, well, at least it's left some kind of influence, the release.
Now, something else that is also probably worth mentioning as well is that in Japan there was actually 2 different versions of this game that released. So I'm actually technically playing on the second version of it. We have the normal version and then the Director's Cut edition.
Oh. Okay.
And the Director's Cut edition introduces a whole bunch of other things, as well as has all of the Japanese exclusive Pocket Station integration within it. So in Japan there was also a Pocket Station Tomodachi game where you would in-game pick up these dragonfly eggs, and then on the Pocket Station you'd be able to raise them. And what you would then be able to do is actually import them back into the game to replace Spyro's main companion, Sparks.
Let's go.
But the thing about these other dragonflies is they actually have certain buffs and abilities that they can do. So some dragonflies will have extended range, some will collect gems faster, some will take more damage before they disappear. There's even abilities in the game which allow the dragonfly to actually break chests for you and grab the gems out of containers.
Okay.
And there was somebody by the name of Kirsty Rafe who actually did a lot of research into all of this, and even came up with cheat engine codes and GameShark's codes where you could end up playing with a dragonfly that has max of these stats.
Ooh, that's fun.
And it's it is actually quite fun to play around with that. But the thing to note about the Director's Cut sort of changes is that it firstly requires you to have a memory card inserted, and you need to have a 120% save file.
Oh wow!
To even activate it.
Huh. Honestly, I'd like to see more games sort of rely on Pocket Stations. I know there's one game on SLC that I know of that has a Pocket Station as an alternate category. A game called Racing Lagoon, just kind of car racing RPG type thing. And I think with the Pocket Station, how you were kind of mentioning with power-ups, and things with different buffs, you can do there'd be exclusive items that you can get from the Pocket Station. I'm like, oh, that's so neat. I'd love to see somebody utilize that. Like, there's no runs on it, but I don't know. I've got the game and I've got a Pocket Station, but I am nowhere near as proficient in Japanese to do a decent job of, you know, routing things and working out what goes where. But yeah, it's such a neat thing. For the folks that don't know, it's kind of like, I mean, you mentioned the Tomodachi. It's like the Dreamcast VMU, but a little bit funkier, I'd say.
Yeah, the only other game that I know of that actually uses the Pocket Station is the ever so famous speed game, Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories.
Oh, okay.
Where the Pocket Station is actually used in that game for you to be able to get certain cards, like Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon.
Oh, no way. Okay, that's cool.
But obviously it's Japan exclusive, so it's like you can't do anything with that on the European or American versions of the game.
It's funny, it's borderline like DLC, but not quite. I mean, I'm trying to think of like, you know, how to kind of say it as, you know, a modern definition, but that really is kind of what it is. Nice.
Yeah, that flight, when it goes well, always looks quite flashy, and it's also just quite a nice flight to watch. Like, we definitely sort of go out of the normal route on that one. Yeah, I've not really been sort of talking a lot about this run. Again, it's sort of an extension of any percent. If you do sort of know any percent, we still have to meet certain certain requirements in order to progress throughout this game. There are a couple of requirements that require dragons, like leaving artisans is 10 dragons, leaving peacemakers is 50, but since we're actually grabbing all of the dragons, those don't matter. The ones that do matter, though, are that we grab at least 6,000 gems and 5 eggs throughout the run. So you'll probably see that I'm not going from point A to point B in terms of every dragon in the level. I'm actually going out of my way to pick up gems as and when they are convenient and also worth going out of my way for.
Yeah.
And in fact, with that being the only dragon here, we are done with this level.
Nice.
A slight minor change that's worth also noting is, for whatever reason, they added a slight delay between when you grab a dragon and when you can actually pause and exit out of a level.
Oh.
It's not actually just the case with dragons as well, it's also the case with respawning. Like, for whatever reason, there is just a solid bit of delay between being able to leave the level. Which, in most cases, I can utilize that to grab a couple of extra gems without losing time. But in some cases, it just sort of ends up being very awkward because it's just like, I don't know what to do with this time.
Yeah. I'm sure there was a very reasonable discussion as to why they would implement such things.
Yeah.
The audience will like it, I'm sure.
Again, it's just a really sort of strange change, like a lot of the things in this game. And again, it's just one more reason why the game just never really sold well or got on in Japan. Well, at least for like the console versions. Like even though they didn't receive Spyro 3, Japan did still receive handheld, there were Japanese versions of some of the handheld games. It's like Season of Ice, Season of Flame, and then even Spyro Orange, which is like the sister game to Crash Purple.
Those were GBA?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like there were still Japanese versions of those games. But again, I don't think they really sold well, but that's mostly because the GBA versions just didn't really go far.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think of, other games that I kind of like this and thinking about whether they were successful. But Spyro is quite unique in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is this is always documented as, well, kind of what it was, a full-blown disaster. In terms of
putting it
porting
lightly,
a game over to another fan base.
Yeah.
You'll always see this game actually pop up on sort of lists of bad localizations. And it's not like, oh, it translated badly, it's just they just changed too much.
The game still looks pretty. I do.
Yeah.
I'm such a sucker for PlayStation 1 aesthetics, and yeah, this game spares no effort when it comes to how everything looks. It's just it's utilized so well, and it just plays so crisp.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the massive things that Insomniac were able to do, was they sort of managed to create just a whole new genre of game that people could look at and take inspiration from. Like when Spyro 1 came out, it was honestly so far ahead of its time.
Oh yeah.
Like actually using like level of detail and low poly models for different bits when it's in the distance. And just generally the whole sort of 3D landscape being as liberating as it is.
Yeah, and like you don't need to go too far when it comes to PlayStation 1 games that don't look as good as this and perform nowhere near as well as it does. They made a very good game.
Yeah.
For what they had.
For what they had and for what was known that could be done with like the PlayStation 1 console, they absolutely knocked it out of the park.
So is the love for the games that you said you're a bit of a journeyman, done a bit of running, a bit of everything when it comes to Spyro. Was that because you enjoyed them when you were younger, or is it something that you kind of developed later on, or what's the?
It's not really like a childhood thing. It wasn't, because in terms of when I was younger, I think the only Spyro games which I actually had access to was Spyro 2 and Spyro 3.
Okay.
And and also Enter the Dragonfly, but then sort of when I sort of discovered speedrunning in like 2014, that's when I was just like, I kind of remember this game, but at the same time, like, I don't. So it's just cool to sort of obviously just load them back up and just play them, and then suddenly be like, you know what? I'll spend a bit of time and actually do a run.
Yeah, okay.
And then in terms of sort of going around all the different categories, it sort of stemmed from my just sort of natural loving of routing. I, like, whilst the running is all cool and all, I honestly just love to just sit down and lab routes more than anything.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, like, it's just like, I would always pick a category and I'm just like, what can I do with this? Or how can I sort of change the way that the game is played? And I also was kind of lucky that in the time where I was actually like looking into like all these different sort of miscellaneous categories, like there were other runners as well that were also like having a look at these miscellaneous categories. And so I was able to sort of get a little bit of inspiration from them, but also have a bit of competition in these categories as well.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they are completely miscellaneous.
Yeah, because every so often you'll see a game on SRC that is, I think, Pokemon is the one, like, is the main series where quite often you'll see a variable split. You'll see, you know, English as a leaderboard and then Japanese as a leaderboard, but that's something that you don't really see in Spyro.
It's never been necessary because these versions just aren't ever ran. Like, it would be cool to see more people pick up this version and obviously play it, speedrun it, but at the same time, it's like it won't really gain traction, and it kind of is annoying. But
yeah,
at the same time, it's like it's cool to have this sort of be a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
Because I will say, I can defend at least this game and Spyro 2. Like, even if their Japanese versions are a mess, they're actually really fun speedruns.
Okay. Well, hey, the floor is yours. This is your time to pitch. If if any folks are interested, like this is how you get them in.
Well, yeah, like because that's like the main thing about this entire sort of run and this version is it's just there's so much different about it that it actually does come across as quite fresh and unique. And then especially in Spyro 2, if you sort of know that game and what is in it, like when you see the Japanese version of the Any Percent run, which will be after this, like you're going to see that it's actually quite far removed. And yeah, Tornite, this is probably not the same game that you remember.
So I assume with the remasters, because that, you know, well, I'm trying to think of when those released. It's, you know, it's a little while back now, but
2018, I think.
2018, man, 6 years. Okay. Anyway, time going quickly. I wonder, like, what kind of numbers, you know, the game did around the world when it came to that, because I assume digital content and all that, anyone can download it. I assume they made it worldwide.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny to think that it reignited was the Japanese audience's sort of first exposure to Spyro 3. Like, because again, that game wasn't released there, so it's like the Japanese audience finally had the entire trilogy.
So that's funny.
So it would be interesting to see just the prospect of having the entire trilogy, just seeing how much that might have boosted that entire sort of player base.
Yeah. Actually, that begs the question, because for quite a lot of, you know, big PlayStation 1 games, you will see a decent spread when it comes to, you know, the different nations that are represented by speedrunners. Are there any from Japan when it comes to this game?
No, unfortunately. Because of how sort of boxed the Japanese versions were, it never really gave life to a Japanese audience, to a Japanese speedrunning audience. Like, we had maybe a couple of people who sort of ran Spyro 1 and Spyro 2 Japanese from Japan, but they actually sort of more originated from the Crash Bandicoot scene.
Okay.
In fact, their names were Keith Hagamura and Sixland. And it was like they sort of came from the Crash Bandicoot scene because Crash Bandicoot actually did a lot better in Japan.
And when hopefully we'll be seeing why later on in the show, folks. If you didn't know, we've got Spyro and we've got Crash. We're going all out on the PlayStation mascots. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what the difference is for that, because I think we're seeing the 100% run, which is unique when it comes to, once again, the regional differences. So yeah, and that's interesting, and that kind of does check out, because you do see crossover when it comes to runners, like not just from Japan, when it comes to those games.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of the Spyro games, it is very much sort of dominated by, well, I would say it's very much dominated by American players, but it's actually sort of seen a bit more of a range when it comes to like world record holders and where they're from. Like, we've got players in America, we've got players here in England, we've got players in Australia. It's like,
oh yeah,
so it has sort of varied quite a bit, especially sort of compared to when I sort of joined the community, where it was like England probably only had like maybe 1 or 2 world records and the rest were American.
Interesting.
Yeah, we're now officially past the halfway point in this run. We're into the 4th homeworld called Beautiful Garden. Otherwise known in the English release, Beastmakers.
Yeah. Wait, they called this one the Beautiful Garden?
Yep.
Alright, okay. Interesting choice.
And also the euphemisms from the third word boss Blowhard are no more. They that boss is now known as Hurricane Hat.
Okay, they went a bit safer in that department.
Yeah. But to be fair, this probably has this homeworld probably has one of my favourite Japanese level names, and they will actually be coming up after this level.
Okay.
So, camera making this area a lot bit more difficult to traverse. Oh, there's a sign there. In order to read the signs, you've got to stand either in front of them or you frame them. And they get in the way a lot.
Yes, I can imagine getting to grips with the game, just constantly being like, oh no, here we go again.
Yeah.
Surely there will come a day, if you haven't already, where somebody will create a all signposts category.
It was sort of theorized and was going to be done at actually one of the Spyro 1 events, but then we sort of realized, why are we doing this?
Yeah, you came to your senses. You're like, this isn't a fantastic idea, actually.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, that was a mechanical village, otherwise known as Terrace Village. So that one doesn't actually change that much.
Gotcha.
But yeah, this next level has probably my favourite Japanese name. And it is the name for Misty Bog.
Okay.
Which is a well-revered level, hated a lot by a lot of people. because it is notoriously difficult. So they actually translated this to Broken Palace.
Interesting.
I like that name.
Yeah, it certainly sounds a bit more, you know, struggling for words here, but you know, a bit nicer.
Yeah.
A little more welcoming. Although that bog is very much still there, and there is somewhat of a palace. But I guess, yeah, it is kind of broken. Also, I don't know what those enemies are called, but those little like kind of blue, almost frog kind of guys. I like them.
Yeah, they're attack frogs. I have a weird feeling that it's supposed to be a pun on attack dog. Now that I think about it.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Yeah, this level is still just as hard as it always was, and the frogs are always as vicious as they were. Even if your charging is really slow, they've not made this any easier. And you also sort of see a little section where the camera's actually a massive mess.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a mess in general, and I'm doing a ton of micromanaging with it, but this section here is just awful. Also, there's a sign there.
Just in case, you know, the game thought we wanted to ignore it. No. We're gonna learn the law. It's got to be done.
Now coming up to the most feared part of Misty Dog. This lovely little island all the way over on the side. Oh, and we're sparkless. This is going to be even better now. Luckily for us, the Japanese version has 2 less enemies. That still doesn't mean that we will not die.
As seen there.
Again, attack frogs are attack frogs, no matter what region they are.
Yeah, they are. Giving you a go.
There you go. And now time for the final bit of gem collection.
Lovely camera.
Yeah. The camera does not deal with interiors well at all. Like, the Japanese versions went through a lot more sort of quality assurance and testing than like the American and European versions.
Okay.
But that still doesn't mean that it went through enough.
It's a nice way of putting it.
But now time for treetop, or as it is in Japanese, speed tree.
I mean, hey, sounds good for speedrunning.
Yeah, no, this level sucks.
Oh.
This level is difficult because of the Japanese mechanics changes. Like, coming up here is a supercharged jump that's actually quite a lot trickier. Because the turning radius with Spyro is just so much wider.
Oop.
Yeah. Thought I'd give that one go, but I'm just going to go ahead and do a little alternative, which is technically more risky, but at the same time,
Ooh.
well, you can see it there.
There we go.
But it actually sort of works out a bit more consistent and has a bit more control to it.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. Nice.
That's actually that was actually pulled from Chargeless, which is a fun category if you like going slow.
Yeah, I think folks are enjoying enjoying Spyro's screaming.
So, sort of a little change from what you would normally do in this area. So, you would actually leave that dragon for later, but one thing that's definitely introduced in that's introduced in this version is the fact that your camera will just reset to a certain location after every dragon. And in some cases, that will be right behind Spyro, which is not the direction you want to go.
Yeah.
And now again, there's another trick here that's going to be a little bit harder than it would be on other versions because of the turning radius. So I'm just going to grab all the gems, hit with the death abuse, and then go the normal route. Also on 0 lives, I should probably be a little bit careful. In certain areas, Tempest. So, Tempest saying that remembering that it has a fixed camera. In certain areas, there are camera rails, which are annoying. But yeah, otherwise your camera is this, which is just abysmal.
Yeah, I was about to say, one thing that a lot of, especially from a casual point of view when it comes to 3D games, a lot of people don't understand how much, if you do have control over your camera, how much you're, like, a lot of runs you have to really fight with it.
Yeah. Like, it might not look like it a lot of the time, but I am constantly having to hold down the shoulder buttons whilst playing this game.
Yeah.
Just so I got the camera in a place where I can actually see where I want to go.
Real. Yeah.
It's also probably not something that I mentioned, but also the fade-ins, like the fade out and fade back in for certain locations. That's purely because developers were too lazy to even try to make the camera work. So they were just like, you're going up like this tower, or you're going to like this doorway. Okay, we're just gonna move the camera.
Is that just like a theory, or are folks kind of just, you know?
No, it's probably because they realized that no matter what they did, the camera was never gonna work.
That's hilarious.
But now we get to fight Metalhead, or as he's translated in Japanese, Ironhead.
Okay. Not
really
radically different.
Because we needed an elaboration of what metal he's made out of.
Yeah. It's getting his intake. It's not efficient.
There's something wrong with the mic.
I mean, you're coming through fine. Producer will let us know if anything's up. Alrighty, so shooting down these turrets. Are they turrets or are they like kind of charging this dude up?
They're just like charging poles. They just charge the bot. But I suppose once they're all destroyed, he just runs out of battery.
This is me entering the Tesla headquarters.
There we go.
So have you got a mental note for pretty much every area and every level that you're going into for what you're looking at in terms of gems coming out of them?
Yeah, so I mean, since there's a lot of research into like 80% and all the routes and stuff, I can sort of pick a lot of it from just that category. But
Yeah.
it does take a little bit of time to sort of properly learn, like, oh, these are the gems that I need to be grabbing in this area, or these are the gems that are important and not important. And generally speaking, when it actually comes to each area, I just sort of remember sort of the set movement more than like where each gem is.
Yeah, you've done it enough that it's fairly second nature.
Yeah, like I will say I don't really retain like sort of muscle memory as much as like other runners do. So it's like a lot of the time I might actually be looking at an area and I have to just very quickly remind myself, like, this is what it looks like, this is how I gotta navigate.
Gotcha.
But generally speaking, I can do a very good job of that and just sort of carry on with the route as if I've done it, well, like hundreds of times.
Mm.
Yeah, we are now into Dreamweavers. This is the second to last home world and translated to Dream Garden.
Nice.
Just to keep it nice and simple. I'm fairly certain that this level's name actually doesn't get translated any differently. But it's still Haunted Clouds.
Once again, just a gorgeous looking stage. Like,
Yeah.
the colours are... It's all done so well.
That's the thing, is the whole sort of dream aesthetic is just done really well with like all the pastel colours and...
Yeah, it's too good.
Like you've got the vibrant sort of bluey green, cyan, obviously a nice sort of palette of greens, blues, and then that's accompanied with nice like sort of warm oranges, yellows, and
Yeah, they really sell the fact that it's a sunset and everything just blends. I feel like there could be a whole, like 3-hour-long video essay on the color theory of Spyro. I'm sure someone's done it or someone's in the middle of writing it up.
Where's that GDQ Hotfix? Let's have a GDQ Hotfix for color theory.
In video games,
where we show off games that have contrasting colors to one another.
That does sound good. It'd be cool to see a show kind of just going into like, design choices and, stuff that's smart about that. Who knows? Well, I think the form is on the Games Done Quick website, but if folks have ideas for one-offs or recurring shows, then they could probably chime them in somewhere on the Hotfix website. So
okay.
Do check that out if you're interested.
Did not mean to hit triangle there, but
no,
that's fine. I get 4 lives out of it. I don't lose a lot of time.
And it doesn't set you too far back now, does it?
Yeah. We're back now.
We're so back.
And then we go from all of those pastel colours to dark colours and dark colours with warm light.
Nice. Not all doom and gloom. A little bit of warmth.
So again, this is another level that can be quite difficult, even in like the normal releases. The Dark Passage. It's also another level that has not had its name changed in the Japanese translations. This still is Dark Passage.
Very appropriate.
To be fair, a lot of these sort of Japanese translations is just sort of a literal description of what's going on or what is in the level.
Makes sense.
Like Dark Hollow gets translated to Night Square because it's a level at night.
We would have thought.
And there might be a square.
I like the noises that those dogs make. Just little guys.
Got to fight with the camera here to control and find where I am. Yeah, another sort of indoor area, but strangely enough, the camera seems fine in this area. Like, I think it's just about open enough that it's sort of still is a little bit apparent about where we're coming from.
Yeah.
And then with a whole bunch of gems there, that is Dark Passage.
Nice.
Okay, we're doing alright with the gems. That's sort of something that I start to
What's that then? So I'm curious, with, like, I assume just because it's, you know, the slower way of playing the game, like, the leaderboard still accept the Japanese versions of the game as runs, like if somebody submitted them?
Yeah. Like, you can still submit them as if they were just normal speedruns.
Oh, that's cool. And is there any sort of... Has anyone gone into the extra legwork of, you know, maybe setting up like a Google Sheets that kind of tracks the Japanese side of things, or has there not really been much, you know, scope or like reason for, you know, delving into the history of that?
There were like JRTA leaderboards like a very long time ago.
Oh, okay.
But
nice.
That was sort of, again, just as far as that sort of side of the Speedrun community actually went before it just sort of completely died out.
That's a shame.
Because otherwise, yeah, it could be cool to have leaderboards for the Japanese version, but again, not enough people run it.
Yeah. What you need is to find somebody who has a lot of money and the means of setting up a tournament. Then everybody will love the Japanese version of Spyro.
Yeah, if I can get a sugar daddy to host a Spyro the Dragon Japanese tournament. Just hit me up.
Surely there will be some takers for this fantastic business proposition.
I could take it to Twitter and get all the bots.
My account's been hacked. I want this on a t-shirt. Can you make the speedrun marathon tournament for me, please?
Oh, okay.
Oof.
Good thing I went over the dragon pedestal. It's always good to remember that dragon pedestals, whether or not you just grab the dragon or not, they do act as checkpoints. So,
Oh, that's handy.
I'm not going to risk trying for that jump.
Nice.
Yeah, now that we've gone ahead and just finished up that bit of homework movement, let's now go into the amazing level that is Amazing Box.
What a name. Gee, I wonder why they called it that.
The Jacques in a box.
Ain't
He must be amazing. I'm actually going to do this a slightly different way than I normally do, but that's purely because this little skip here is a little bit more tricky on Japanese. I also get to grab a few more gems and I might be able to potentially attempt a little bit of a skip.
Ooh, okay.
Oh. Okay, that.
Oh wow, the sledges. Wow,
there we
that's
go.
mean.
Of course I got the harder one first try. Yeah, I've got more than enough gems to attempt this. Right. But we'll see if I can kill the amazing bot a little bit sooner than you should be able to. Ah, not quite. Okay.
Ooh, good save.
I got more than enough gems now.
Let's go.
To be fair, I played it quite safe with the gem route. Didn't want to risk being under gemmed. And with that, we now have one homeworld left.
Nice. Doing well.
Unfortunately, this is not a garden. This is just Nasty's world.
Ugh.
And we will actually have to do the proper progression through Nasty's world, unlike any % speedruns where we get to actually do sort of the only real major skip, which is the ability to skip into the final boss. But yeah, in the English releases, this is this level is called North Cove, and its follow-up level is then Twilight Harbour. In Japanese, this is known as North Harbour, or Nasty Harbour rather, and then Twilight Harbour is just known as Nasty Bridge.
Nasty Bridge, wow.
Because, incredible. Twilight Harbour has that one bridge. Now, in the English release, we will actually do this level a lot differently, using a trick called Teamwork. And but because the NTSC version is actually semi-based off of the PAL version, that actually has quite a few little things sort of patched out, we are unable to do that Teamwork. Again, there's an entire room there, but we didn't really see it because the camera went over the building. Yeah, welcome to that nasty bridge. That was certainly a nasty bridge.
Is that it?
That's the bridge.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like the bridge probably did something nasty to one of the developers. They really felt compelled to call it that. It didn't seem too bad. Maybe there's something that I'm completely missing. Maybe you made that bridge not look nasty with speedrunning it, but I don't know, man.
Yes, that is now both of those levels done, so we get to now go into the final boss.
Ooh.
Now there is one dragon locked behind the final boss, so we just need to very simply kill Nasty Nork, and then we'll be able to grab the last dragon.
Nice.
Except for the slight complication that if we killed Nasty Nork the normal way, we would have to sit through 3 minutes of unskippable cutscenes, or unskippable credits.
Ooh, okay.
Now, if you've actually seen 120% runs, you will immediately notice that I've done something wrong and I haven't entered this level with sparks. In 120%, where we have to grab all 4 gems from Nasty Nork, we would do a version of credit skip which involves taking damage, then using the invincibility frames to perform an animation boost to get out of bounds, and then we would flame Nasty from out of bounds and take a death abuse within the bit of lava nearby. Now, luckily in this category, we don't care about the gems, so we can just do a alternate version of this, which is very simple. We kill Nasty as he kills us.
Oh, genius.
What that'll do is it'll cause us to respawn, but what will actually happen is the dragon that we need for our 80th will actually spawn in the home world. So, just like that, we will die as Nasty dies. We'll leave the level, and we will call time on this run very, very shortly. So get ready with the timer. There's our 80th dragon, and that is time.
Nice. GG's.
And that was Spyro the Dragon, NTSCJ, 80 Dragons.
Good job. Good job. Well, I know we're going to be having a little intermission, and then we'll set up for your next showing of Spyro. But is there anything that you want to sort of close out with this one? Any shout outs that you want to give, or is that something that you want to leave for the second run?
No, it is sort of just a general shout out, obviously, to the Spyro community, and to all the people who sort of run each and every category. Especially shout out to the people who have taken the time to also just have a look at categories like this, categories like 80 Dragons, and all the other different miscellaneous categories as well. It's always interesting to see runs of those done, and all sort of the optimizations that always come with it.
Yeah, that's some good shout-outs. Wow, folks, we are going to be back after a little intermission. This is only the first run of this evening. Going Places has, of course, got more Spyro coming up next. We're going to be having Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, and then after that we're going to be having Crash Bandicoot. But the love for some PlayStation titles doesn't stop there, because not only that, but afterwards with Passion Project, we are going to be seeing Unmetal, which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe is a fan game remake type thing of Metal Gear Solid. Nick RB Green is going to be taking us through that, and then finishing off on an interesting indie title, I believe, Frog Monster. It's a Jax game. Sorry for the silence, everybody. Welcome back to the Hotfix, and welcome back to what we've got for the rest of this evening. If you missed the run that we started off with, the bit of Spyro, just a slightly different flavor of Spyro. If you haven't seen the difference when it comes to the regions for this game, either way, I'm waffling. But if you've missed that run, or if you've missed any of our previous shows or events and you want to see what's up with those, you can check them out on youtube.com/gamesdonequick. But whilst you're here on Twitch, whilst you're live, just a reminder that your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support the Games Done Quick hotfix. So if you enjoy watching speedruns, why not consider subscribing to the channel? And yeah, folks, we are still rolling on. We have got more Spyro for the night. We are now heading over to the second Spyro. We're definitely not going to be heading over to the third Spyro, as we've learned. But let's see how this was somewhat the final nail in the coffin for the East. But we're back with Bradley. Bradley, what's in store for us this time around?
So, something slightly less intact than what we've just gotten ourselves into with Spyro 1, but still equally changed for the worse by the Japanese. So we will go into Spyro 2 if we're ready to count down.
Yeah, we're ready.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, yeah, I mean, just as a sort of a general thing to note, like the difference between like Spyro 1 and Spyro 2, any percent, even in the English release, is significantly different. If Spyro 1 is very intact, Spyro 2 is the opposite. Spyro 2, in terms of the English release, is very much a boss rush more than anything else. But straight away, we're sort of seeing all the same sort of differences, like the charging slower and sort of the general movement is just a bit more clunky and a bit heavier. Now, I actually did a bit of menuing there, because one of the many good changes between Spyro 1 and Spyro 2 is actually the ability to change the camera back to how it was done in the West.
What an option! What a choice!
Yeah, so we're actually going to be running this with proper camera. But in terms of sort of big changes or big patches that were actually made in this, there's a quite substantial sort of tech that we use in Spyro 2 called the double jump. Now, this game came out quite a bit later than, in Japan, quite a bit later than in Europe and America. In fact, this game came out in the year 2000.
Oh, wow.
Whereas, whereas in Europe and America, it came out in 1999. And one of the big things that they patched before they even released this was that double jump glitch.
Ah.
So we actually do not have access to one of the major sort of glitched movement plates. And because of that, we actually need to do any percent in a lot different fashion. At this point, you would probably be fighting the first main boss. But in my case, I'm actually doing a bit of homework movement here to get to a level that will actually help me throughout the entire, which will help me for the majority of the run. And in order to actually do this, it's quite a tricky jump, which luckily I actually got second try there.
Nice.
And I'll also now be performing something that is actually Japanese exclusive. Or maybe not, I'll just fall off the edge. That's really annoying, actually.
Oh.
But we actually need to enter a level to grab some gems. So I am just trying my best to get to that level. Unfortunately, this run starts with a very hard split. Like, because of the movement differences, jumps like this one that I'm doing here are very, very precise. And it's also very easy for me to just mess up jumps.
Yeah.
What I might opt to actually do then, in that case, I'm actually going to go ahead and do a slightly different route. So normally what you would actually do is you would go to where that orb was. You would then jump onto those hills, which in this version have collision, and you would enter the speedway. And the speedway is a very useful way of grabbing 400 gems. Now, because I was having a bit of difficulty with that, I'm actually going to go ahead and do sort of like a backup route of sorts. So I'm going into Hercos, which is not a level that you would normally want to visit in this run, but it's actually pretty decent for gems, of which I'm going to need 1,000 of throughout the run.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to do a little bit of a clip here. That bonk messed me up. So I'm going to do a clip here just to get myself to the end of the level as well, just to pick up some more gems. Like this start area and the end area are pretty decent for gems.
Yeah.
And we generally want to sort of limit our visits as much as we possibly can. This really does not want to work.
Yeah, it's been mean.
But I mean, I will go out on record to say that this category in general is extremely difficult. Like, if you're gonna learn a run,
That's done nicely there.
Yeah, I would probably never recommend doing this run on this version. Mostly because of just how tricky it is to get every single trick. But yeah, now that we're in this end area, we've got a whole bunch of good gems to grab up here. And we'll go ahead and leave that level. Now, if you've watched normal any percent runs, you would remember a skip into crush that would involve this door that I've just gone through. That skip is both not possible because of no double jump, but also because they took out the buttons.
Oh.
There's only one button for the doors, and it is the one for the little orb puzzle.
Huh.
So yeah, all of these doors are just open all the time. Which means our skip into Crush is a little bit different. We're going to get to this archway, jump onto this wall, and just go out of bounds from here.
Nice. That's cool.
And just like that, we are into Crush. And there is nothing wrong with the voice acting at all. Do not make any comments on it. It's fantastic.
10 out of 10, no notes.
Yeah, quite a simple fight. We don't really have the option to do sort of the advanced tech that you might see like higher level Spyro 2 runners do because of the lack of double jump. But we can still do it in a pretty speedy fashion. And just like that, that is Crush done.
Nice.
And now Ripto has a word from our sponsor. Yeah, Naughty Dog.
Thank you for the words.
I'll be honest, I don't know what he's actually saying, but it sounds like Naughty Dog, so I just sort of go with it.
Second guy sounded like he was talking about spreadsheets. He's talking about Excel. I mean, if that's your thing, why not?
Yeah. I mean, he's money bags. We pay him money. We pay him gems. I imagine he's probably got a spreadsheet somewhere.
Oh, totally. Totally.
So yeah, we're going to do our first purchase here of the climb ability. So this is sort of the main thing that Spyro 2 introduces, as well as a whole bunch of just general gameplay changes. Is three new abilities: the swim ability, the climb ability, and the head bash ability. If you recall in Spyro 1, touching any sort of water actually would hurt Spyro. But in this game, he's perfectly fine with it. So again, this is part of the backup that I'm doing to make up for the gems, which I didn't get in Ocean Speedway. This is Scorch. I did not mean to hit that button. This level has a whole bunch of really decent gems, but a lot of them are locked behind this quite annoying jump. This is an area that you'll be able to access quite a bit later than I'm trying to here. And annoyingly, I kind of have to do this with a spin jump and a bit of a wall glide, just to even make it possible.
Oh, so close.
Yeah. This game is very unforgiving with some of its little sort of like in-level skips.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
But some of these attempts are really good, and then don't actually make it. Like, how did that not make it?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, let's go. Wow, yeah, that's a lot. That's a good good shortcut.
Okay, and then what I can do is we can go into this area. Let me just then jump onto. Oh no, not that plane. That polygon. There's a polygon here that I can spin jump onto.
Nice.
There we go. Now we'll just go into the end level, or the end section, because there's a few good gems in here for us. And that'll do.
Nice.
That's made up for all the gems that we missed, not doing the speedway. Unfortunately, it is quite a lot of time lost, but should still be fine. And now we'll make our way over to Gulp Skip, which is still a thing in this game.
Okay.
Again, the way we actually get to it is sort of standard. Obviously, we need to climb first, but we actually do a movement technique called a Sproder. We can actually get around to the roof this way. Now we do Gulp Skip the actual normal way. We get to do a little bit of normal Spyro 2 speedrunning gameplay.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of different sort of cues that I'm looking for there. So I was looking for Spyro's shadow to drop. Once that is done, I then face slightly inward into the wall, jump and glide. That will bring my shadow back up. I then move my camera all the way to the left. Once it's as far left as it can go, we can then I then start tapping left until I clip in. And then that little last bit there, I do it slightly differently than a lot of other people. They will do it usually with a charge glide, so doing a square and X. I actually do it with a charge jump. And we're now here in Gulp, which is RNG.
Yay!
So again, we're trying to limit the amount of phases that we need in this Gulp. So far, we've actually had a pretty decent fight.
Okay.
This is sort of where the actual RNG happens. Doing a bit of circling around Gulp here just to sort of make sure he doesn't really do anything. You can sort of see the charge speed in full effect there. Makes for doubles to be quite awkward. Oh, okay.
That was close.
After 10 hits, Gulp is all done.
Nice.
To be fair, that's probably one of the better Gulps that I've ever had on this version.
Let's go.
You would do well not to do more than like a 5 or 6 cycle. Also, apologies about that. I just completely flung my headphones off my head. Right, there we go. Now that audio's going in the right direction, we are now in the final homeworld.
Let's go.
So we're actually going to be leaving this homeworld to go and grab another ability, but we just need to grab some gems just to make it just so that we have enough to buy that ability. So we're going to do a first penguin proxy to get into this area. And then with a bunch of gems over here, we can then grab all of these and head back to the first homeworld of the game. And now that we have paid him another 500 gems, we have the ability to swim. And that is now everything that we need in order to be able to beat the game.
Nice.
Now, unlike normal any percent runs of this game, or, well, I say normal, I mean like NTSCU/PAL runs, we do not bother with the bonus level in this game called Dragon Shores. Inside Dragon Shores, there is a 100% bonus called the Infinite Fireball. However, because of the lack of double jump, I actually have zero way to grab that within the confines of an any percent run.
Okay.
So in this case, I'm actually going to be going straight for swim and air, which, by the way, this is a version difference. Spyro has to continually recharge in swim for no reason. But this also means we get to fight Ripto the normal way.
Perish the thought.
Instead of doing Ripto in 1 minute by just spamming circle at him, we need to actually grab the orbs that Hunter drops.
Oh, GDQ audience love that kind of thing. Can we get some orbs in the chat?
So yeah, there are 3 different types of power-up that we can get in this fight. We have got fireballs. We've got green balls of I don't really know what, and supercharge. Unfortunately, Ripto got flung off to the side in that one. In this sort of first phase, we want to deal with... we kind of want to have the green power-up. Unfortunately, we're getting a bit unlucky with the RNG. But now that first phase is done, we then go again in the second phase, where Ripto is on a mechanical version of Gulp. Now, in phase 2, we still want the green power-up, but we also wouldn't mind getting the supercharged power-up. As long as we don't get Fireball, it's fine.
Okay.
That's not good.
Ooh.
Oh no, I still have Sparks. I thought it was Sparkless. Every time. It's fine, luckily Hunter is just spamming sheep. But hopefully we can finish this phase off with this power up.
Nope, so close.
Quite. But now we can just charge straight into Gulp and finish that phase.
Nice.
And now we go into the final phase, which is basically the same as normal. You get infinite fireball and you just go ham on him. Oh, he didn't move. Oh. And that's time.
GG. Nicely done.
And that was the quite a lot more broken Spyro 2, also known as Spyro X Demo Tours.
Oh, well, today I've learned.
Yeah. And yeah, that has been Spyro 1 and Spyro 2. Unfortunately, no Spyro 3, because, well, it didn't happen until 2018, when Reignited came out.
That happened eventually. A very roundabout way of it happening, but it did happen. Well, very good. Well, we had some shout outs at the end of the last run. If folks thought, okay, the Spyro, everything seems quite daunting when it comes to, the versions that everybody else has run. Maybe this is something that I'd be interested in, something a little bit different, a little bit quirky, slightly slower pace, but still, a fairly full-on speedrun. How would folks be best equipped to give these games a go?
Sort of the main way to find information and obviously get guidance and help with any sort of tricks, routes, tips, is through the main Spyro Speedrunning Discord. You can find that on SRC. I don't know if they may have taken it down, but I think you can also find it on the general Spyro Reddit page as well.
Oh, nice.
We actually have our Discord sort of hidden on there. Well, I say hidden, it's linked in plain sight. But that's sort of the main place that you can go. There are lots of guides, most of which are on SRC. I think there are a few that are still only hosted on our Discord. But that's sort of that's the go-to place for any sort of queries, questions. And we have plenty of people who are happy to help out, explain tricks, explain routes, explain terminology as well. Or even just to sort of chat, hang out, or maybe even talk about history and stuff. And it's just like, any sort of anything really, just go there and chat away.
Wow, very good. And if I know we had a chat beforehand and you were like, I don't really do all too much, but go on, give yourself a little shout out if folks wanted to see what you get up to elsewhere.
In the sort of rare opportunity that I ever sort of stream, like, you'll see me do categories much like this one, much like 80 Dragons. I will generally be sort of doing categories that nobody else has really ever done, just for the hell of it. Sometimes I do actually stray away from Spyro as well. I've done Final Fantasy 13, like that could be randomizer and speedruns of that. So if you're into like JRPG speedrunning, I also do a bit of that.
Nice. Well, folks, go check out Bradley as YesWally1 on both Twitch and YouTube, I believe. Yeah, and well, a big thank you to Bradley for showing all this off, because I'm going to be honest, I mentioned that it's something that I've had in the pipeline for this show for a while, and to finally have it on and to have the person with all the knowledge and know-how to show off both 1 and 2 and like different categories on them is really cool. So a big thank you to Bradley. And yeah, I mean, PlayStation 1 goodness. We've had 2 Spyros. We're going to have 1 crash. Hopefully the stream won't crash, but we are going to be having Lucadamus, or Lucadamus, I don't know. I'm going to find out how I pronounce this in the intermission. And he's going to be taking over with Crash Bandicoot, which I believe is going to be 100%. Yeah, it is. So we're going to be going through that for about an hour and 10 minutes, and then we're going to be going over to Passion Project afterwards. So do stick around as we get ready for that.
Thank you for having me.
Another very good morning, evening, afternoon, folks, wherever this video or stream finds you. Welcome back to the Games Done Quick Hotfix. My name is Hypnotics, and I have the honor of hosting and show running for Going Places. This is what I describe as a sort of speedrun travel show where we have a look at region exclusive games as well as games that we can take on the go with handheld consoles, is what I have been saying for the past 3 or so years. But we've had the odd game here and there that did get a release around the world but is different. There's just a little something, you know, here and there that's a little bit different. We already saw Spyro 1 and 2, which, I mean, Spyro 1 looked infinitely, well, maybe not infinitely, but the camera angle definitely did put us in a bit of a spin in terms of, you know, the game being a little bit different. We're going to be seeing a few differences. Well, I'll be letting the talent go into greater detail about what's different. But just before that, a reminder that GDQ is going to PAX West, and we've barely got like a couple more hours of submissions when it comes to, you know, putting your runs towards the consideration for the event there. So you can use !PAX PAX in the Twitch chat for more info to get those runs in, because we want to see what people have got. But what we've got right now is Crash Bandicoot 100%. We are joined by Lucadamus and Joey on commentary. Luca, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Ready for
awesome. Joey, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Wow. Gamers, if you're ready, then we're ready.
Yeah, sure thing. I'll exit the title and then do a countdown.
Awesome.
If that's okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, that's not title. Okay. Ready in 3, 2, 1,
Good luck.
go. Thank you. All right, we're seeing version differences right off the bat. The text. And then also, so on J, you start out with a mask, and on the American version, you have to break it from a box, so that's immediately convenient for us because we will need those in the first couple levels. They also added a hint on a number of mask boxes in the game, which is not in the American version, so we just skipped those, but there is a quirk, so the button that you use to skip it will also buffer into your next action, and so there's always a little bit of planning ahead to avoid that causing, like, messing you up. And Sanity Beach is a pretty easy starting level. Box Bridge is normally tricky, but if you have the invincibility form from the masks, then it's no problem. Alright, so with Jungle Rollers, another version difference. The TNT doesn't say TNT on it, it has a little bomb picture. The normal way to beat this level in 100% is to revisit it once you have a special gem from a later level, and what we're going to do is try to pull off a skip, so we don't need to do that and save about a minute or so. Alright, so yep, by abusing the scenery a little bit, we can just jump up there, and with the third mask form, it makes it Yeah, so by abusing the scenery a little bit and having third mask form, it's pretty easy to break all the boxes up there without being able to actually have the camera follow you up.
Nice. For the folks who are wondering about, the stream looking a little bit choppy, we're hopefully resurrecting that issue. If not, we'll go to an intermission, but certainly on our end, it's looking a little bit better. Hopefully that will translate over to the stream side. But all I can tell you is that the gameplay itself is smooth. Lucademus is doing a good job here.
Yeah, sometimes the momentum in this game is a little bit weird. So that's not a big death. But yeah, it can be easy to sort of get your speed eaten and then fall into a hole you weren't expecting. So the main point of the category is to get to beat all the levels and get all the gems. And in order to earn gems in this game, you have to beat the level, get all the boxes without dying. And so if we ever die after a checkpoint in the level, then we have to reset it in order to... So luckily that one was early enough that we didn't have to re-enter or anything.
Nice.
That actually is kind of
another
a version difference between the Japanese version and the other versions is that you actually can go back and get all the boxes on J and still get the gem at the end, but in the other versions you cannot.
Yep, that's right. We just had another skip there, so normally you would come back after getting the gem from the very last level in the game, but by abusing the fact that Crash bounces into the air when he gets hit, we can actually climb on some standable scenery behind the level.
So I believe there's, 5 level revisit skips that we do, and 4 of them are on the first island of the game?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
And then 1 on the third island, so... It's pretty tough to get a run going sometimes, but once you get out of that first island, it becomes much more doable.
Nice.
Yeah, the mask hints that they added can actually be pretty useful sometimes. Like, the one in the first level tells you about a thing we call spin timer, where you can only spin a certain number of times in a certain time frame. And if you try to press the button after you've spun too much, then it'll just do nothing. And that can come into play in levels like Great Gate, where at the end you have to spin a bunch of platforms.
Most of the level names are localized as well and have different names. So this one infamously is Big Rock Rattle Rattle.
That's fantastic. Interesting, yeah. It seems to be a theme with the Spyro games that we had earlier. It's very much, the translations were just more kind of descriptions of what's happening in the stage. Is that a running theme with this one?
I'd say that's probably true too from the translations I was able to find.
Okay.
And as a spoiler alert, there is a second boulder level in the game, and the translated name for that one is It's Big Rock Again.
Oh, I'm liking this version of the game already. This is great.
It has a lot of character, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're very familiar with the American version, this level looks a lot different. Pretty much every platform in it has been made much, much bigger, so it's way easier in Japan.
Let's go.
There's another skip for this level that we're doing. Most people consider it the hardest version of the skip, but Luca actually found a consistent setup for it recently. Before it was very precise positioning. But here's the first part of it where you have to get this box under the bridge without the gems. Sort of by setting ourselves up, we can break it with third mask form. The invincibility just kind of reaches down there.
Nice.
And Luca's going to do a setup to clip onto this wall very precisely.
Should be safe now.
Very nice.
Yeah, that skip was known as a massive run killer for a long time because you basically had to do like a pixel perfect setup on a diagonal on a falling platform. But it's much better with the setup now.
Nice.
There are also holes up there when he got out of bounds. There's a few holes on the upper section that you can die through if you're not positioned correctly, so luckily he was able to avoid those.
Yeah, so another version difference here, Papu actually has had 2 hit points added to him, which does sort of make the fight substantially more difficult because he really moves fast on these last 2 cycles, especially the last one. But luckily for us, his stick doesn't actually hurt you on like the first spin, so we can just kind of stand there and wait for him.
Yeah, I think as long as he's still in his invincibility frames, the staff can't hurt you. That's my understanding.
Oh, okay. I did not know that, but that totally makes sense.
We have another skip here. This is the last one until we get to Island 3. This is also the most recently discovered one, discovered by yours truly, Luca Demas. And yeah, it was known for a long time. We're basically going to drop down into this pit and avoid death triggers and not die. It was known for a long time that you could do that and break the boxes down there, but we always had a hard time figuring out how to get out, basically, without dying. And then, yeah, Luca messed around with it near the end of 2022, and with a lot of crafting from various people, we were able to find different setups, but here we go.
Right, should be safe now. You get this really cool float to get out of there.
Very nice.
Yeah, so the basic idea behind that is there's a jump path just underneath the level, and for some reason, I don't know if anyone understands it, you can just kind of drop through in a specific place and not die, so it involves a lot of weird movement, sort of without being able to see very well and avoiding death planes all over the place. But yeah, since it was just discovered about 1.5 years ago, that will be the first time it's been done in an event.
Nice.
Hog Wild, just a auto-scroller. There's 2 hog levels in this game. All the rest is pretty more sort of fast-paced platforming action, but this gives you a little bit of rest after you get out of the gauntlet of both Upstream and Rolling Stones.
Nice.
A couple of the skips we did, both Jungle Rollers and Rolling Stones, can be kind of tricky for new runners because you're doing a lot of blind movement. You kind of have to move Crash without being able to see him, so you kind of just have to know what buttons to push in what order, but you get a feel for it after a while, obviously.
Alright, almost finished with the first of 3 islands. So the next level, Native Fortress, is the first level in the game that we actually will have to revisit because it has a gem path that we don't have a skip for.
I'm very glad that this is a run where we see that funny face that Crash makes. That is, you know, hang it up in the gallery. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Crash's animations in this game are amazing across the board. Actually, the whole original trilogy.
There is actually an idle animation in this game that is specific to the Japanese version that does do that gem screen sort of animation. It does kind of a full version of it. We're not really going to get to see that because we're not really going to be idle at all, but fun fact. Unfortunately, a level revisit skip for this one does not seem too likely because the reason why all the other skips work is because the boxes are loaded in somehow, or you're able to get to a place where they are loaded in. With these ones, the extra boxes in the gem path are really high up in the clouds, and we haven't really found a way to get them to be loaded in and to get up there, so seems a little unlikely.
Yeah, there are like some weird ways you can kind of jump up above the screen, but the real problem is, like Joey said, getting the camera to follow you and load everything in.
Yeah, there's really only, ideally, there's only three revisits that we really have to do. It's this one, Boulder Dash, and Lights Out. Obviously, there used to be a lot more revisits before we found the skips, but we've narrowed it down to just 3.
I actually went for an intentional death there. That just sets up the cycles. So most of, actually, like almost all the environmental cycle hazards, I mean, in this game are based on a global timer that you can reset by dying. So often it is faster just to take a quick death and put all the cycles in fast known positions.
Nice. That was very smooth.
Sometimes we'll do that at the start of a level too. Since dying before the first checkpoint, you can still get the gem that way. Sometimes we'll die at the very beginning of a level to set up the correct cycles and make it predictable. I think the first level we'll be doing that is the Lost City, which is after the boss after this level.
Not too many other version differences here. I think besides the platforms being bigger, the only other thing is there is a minor change to like the sound effect of the water. That's all of it as far as I know.
Yeah, I don't know if the sound effect itself is different, but the way it's sort of like coded in the game is different. One of the versions has the water running sound effect as part of the OST track, the music track. And then I think it's this version where the music track is just the music, and then the water sound effect is like a separate thing. So it's not really noticeable when you're playing, but it's like just another fun fact.
Interesting.
I don't think we said it, but another change is that if you don't get the gem, so if you miss boxes in the level, on the Japanese version, it only drops on your head 1 box, no matter how many you missed.
Oh, okay.
So that does save a little bit of time.
Interesting.
It also still shows you how many keys and gems you have, whereas on the North American and PAL versions, it just tells you how many boxes you missed without any other information.
For this fight, every fight in the game gives you 2 masks automatically, so we can use those to damage abuse on these TNTs. And then you can fall in the water and sort of die, but be resurrected when Ripperu's animation finishes. Alright, so here's another intentional death abuse. And the global cycles we get from that, we're going to try and carry all the way through this level and maybe into the next level as well.
Oh, wow.
And going off of the Japanese names again, I think the translation for this one is use lizards to big jump, because you can jump on the lizards and get a big jump off of them. Right here.
Incredible. Oh, yeah, exactly. So with the cycles in this one, platforms and the way that the bats are moving in and out, I assume, are the main ones?
The bats are what we call a local cycle, so they only start when you get near them.
Oh, okay.
But the moving platforms, the big pushers, those are all reliant on the global timer.
That makes sense.
So it seems like we're still on a good cycle so far. Back there I did what's called pulled board jumps, so if you do a precise timing, you can actually jump on those moving platforms while they're inside the wall. Alright, that went pretty well, so we can keep holding this cycle for a little while.
Nice.
Very nice. The Lost City is definitely a very punishing level. If you're not good at it, it's quite challenging, I would say. And yeah, after this, we're going back to Native Fortress. This is actually a routing change that happened after Rolling Stones was really discovered, because otherwise you would save Native Fortress for the end of the run, since you had to go back there anyway to do Rolling Stones. But since we got that out of the way, this is the only Island 1 revisit. You need the boxes.
That's true.
And so yeah, so we now just put it after the Lost City. So then at the end of the run, we only have to go back to Boulder Dash and Whole Hog, which are late on Island 2. Saves map movement, basically, and it happens to give good cycles as well.
Yeah, notice also we got the red gem from Lost City. That's a version difference that will save a lot of time in just a few levels.
Yeah, so in the other versions, you get the red gem in Slippery Climb, which is all the way on Island 3. And then the green gem would be the normal gem that the Lost City would give you. And so in the Japanese version, they give you the red gem in the Lost City, and we got the green gem back in Hog Wild, actually.
I like the way the route changed a lot, because this is a very scary level to have right at the end of the run.
I agree. Some runners even put it early, even if they're not doing like upstream skip, for instance, just to get it out of the way, and I don't disagree with that at all. We have a very pretty backdrop here. I'm a really big fan of the art style of some of these skyboxes. I think this one is the background on the speedrun.com page. Either this one or Sunset Vista, I can't remember. I think it's Sunset Vista, actually, but they look pretty similar.
Yeah, it's that kind of like light pink to the purple. It's very nice.
Yeah, the backgrounds in this game are usually sort of more just flat pictures than the ones in Spyro, but some of them do still really turn out great. Something I did a few times in that level is called a sub jump, which is basically if you jump out of a spin after it ends within a 10 frame window, you can sort of get a mid-air jump, which is useful in some places.
Yeah, I guess speaking of movement tech, we haven't really gone over the basic movement tech, which is called zigzagging. So you'll notice he's jumping and zigzagging in the air. It's because you go faster when you're in the air, when you go at a diagonal. So if we just kind of spam diagonals perpendicular to like the direction we're going, we'll get more speed. And the faster you do it, the faster you go. Optimal zigzagging would be doing it like alternating diagonals every frame, which is what the task does. So for humans, we just try to do it as fast as possible. It's also important to do it not just as fast as possible, but also consistently, because you don't want to be sort of very wobbly with your movement. You can easily just kind of jump off the edge if you're not careful and consistent with it.
Yeah, plus some of these levels can be upwards of a couple minutes long, and trying to zigzag your hardest for the entire duration can get very tiring early on.
Very true. Also, when we spin, first of all, it gives us a little boost of speed if we're on the ground. I think also if you jump with it, it gives you a little speed boost. But also it gives you a little bit of invincibility, so we can spin through these spears and stuff, which you might have seen him do. And the spears happen to be like, you can just pass through them if you spin through them. There's also scythes like that in the dark levels, like lights out and fumbling in the dark. We can just kind of spin through them.
Yeah, spin is a really great move. Speeds you up, the invincibility frames, attacking stuff. Also early in the level, I don't think you mentioned this, Joey, but you can spin TNTs without getting hit by them if you space it correctly.
Yeah, that's due to the TNT's expanding hitbox and just being able to get away from that as fast as possible. With spinning, though, there is... sorry, just one last thing about spins is that there's a timer. You can't just really spam it. You kind of have a bank of like 5 spins, so you can't just be doing it all the time. You kind of have to manage your spins.
Yeah, on the American version, the red gem required for this level is in Slippery Climb all the way on Island 3, but since on the J version it gave it to us in Lost City, we can now do Road to Nowhere in one pass, so that's sort of a semi-gem skip, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, that's basically the biggest reason why the Japanese version is used for 100%. We use the North American version for any percent because we don't really have to do any of this, but and it's faster for other reasons, but for 100%, this is kind of the big thing that makes J faster.
There was a loose mask there, but I avoid it because generally the fastest movement is to just jump and zigzag, which that doesn't work as well if you actually have invincibility. So we really only want that if it helps us break boxes. And zigzagging is a huge help in these levels. It makes a lot of these jumps way easier than they would be casually.
Yeah, these levels are tough on the original version. They are much tougher on the remake of this game, the Insane Trilogy, since they changed the physics of that game, but kept the level design the same. So they're a little bit easier on this version, but definitely they can still be a challenge.
Yeah. Boulder Dash coming up will actually be a great spot to see the difference zigzag makes.
Yeah, one thing about the boulders in the Japanese version is they actually move slightly slower than in the other versions. I think the exact number is 2% slower.
Yep, if you were to play this normally, the boulder would be pretty much right on your tail the whole way through the level, but with zigzagging, we completely leave it behind. And that will save us some time late in the run with the strat.
A lot of people like to meme on how boring this level is, Boulder Dash. It's a pretty long level compared to the first Boulder level, and there's just really nothing to it. Like, it's pretty boring, especially in this first pass when we don't have to worry about boxes or anything.
Yeah, just a lot of downward zigzag.
Yeah, good practice for zigzag.
Yeah, so for some reason when they localized this game, they also switched the locations of Sunset Vista and Slippery Climb. And so the next level we'll be playing is Slippery Climb, actually.
It makes no sense. We're scaling Cortex's castle, which is on the third island, but we're on the second island, It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, even on the map you can see it looks like one of the ruins levels. I think the accepted reason for that is that slippery climb is supposed to be harder, I guess, but that's not necessarily true.
Sunset Vista is a lot longer. That's the longest level in the game, so that could be part of it too. But they're both very challenging levels.
This is another one where you do an intentional death abuse at the beginning to set up all the cycles.
Yeah, you saw he went like pretty far left to death abuse. That's because there's like invisible walls toward the camera, so there's no real quick death abuse. You just have to go a little bit to the left. But still worth it because of getting consistent cycles, and they happen to be pretty good too if you go fast.
Yeah, there are better things you can do, but this is sort of the best combination of speed and safety for me. Which is true of a lot of this game. Like, there are a lot of just ridiculously hard strats that you can try to do if you want to save a few extra seconds.
Yeah, another thing people do would be to just carry the cycles from wherever you death abused last, which could be Temple Ruins or Road to Nowhere at the beginning if you wanted to set up cycles. But the problem I have with that personally is that when we did Boulder Dash, we had the end screen that told us that we missed boxes. And there is RNG on those screens in terms of how many times Crash will look to the left in a little animation. And he can look to the left, I think theoretically infinite times. Most I've really seen it happen is like 4, which is quite a lot. And
4 for me too.
Yeah, and so the global cycles are still running during that animation. And so it could completely throw off your cycles, even if you were setting them up for from a previous level. So that's why, yeah, Luca and I also find it preferable to just death abuse at the beginning of this level. Seemed like a perfect slippery climb, so congratulations. That's also not a super easy level, especially some of those cycles on the 3rd floor. A little tough to make.
So Koala Kong is the first instance, I think, of them changing the music. So apparently, when they did the localization, they wanted some of the tracks to be replaced, and they were done in about a day or 2 by the composer, and they still turn out really good.
Impressive.
If I can read there's a quote here on the region differences page that I find funny. So, according to the game's music composer, the replaced tracks for the Japanese release were an 11th hour decision made by the Sony people in Japan. They felt that the boss rounds needed to sound more video game-like. The only reference they gave was music from the Main Street Electrical Parade at Disneyland. I only had a day or so to write all those themes. My favorite comment was about the original Tawna bonus round music. It roughly translated into, "The sound of the guitar mixed with the tree imagery is too nostalgic sounding." I'm still scratching my head on that one. That's by Josh Mansell.
I'm scratching my head right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I love quotes like that. That's amazing.
It's pretty funny.
Tawna bonus round is actually one of my favorite songs in the game, so it's kind of a bummer for me.
That boss fight was also the only one that had RNG. Most of them are auto-scrollers. That one, in terms of how far left or right Kong moves, you can lose some time due to that.
Yeah, generally there's very, very little RNG in this game, which is something I like a lot about speedrunning it. It's pretty much all just up to you whether you get a good pace or not.
We're on to the 3rd island now. It's the last island. We're going to get to the end of this island, and then we have to backtrack for a few levels, but this is the longest island, because we're about halfway through the run at this point, and it's the 3rd island, so it's the biggest island. There's a lot of levels, a lot of long levels too.
Yeah, I think especially this little section, these 4 levels are some of the toughest ones in the game.
For sure, yeah.
Can't go here. So whereas Slippery Climb had invisible walls in the front of the level, this one does not, so you do have to be very careful when you're zigzagging not to go too far toward the camera. Alright, so here the sub-jump comes back. We'll try and hit this timing to skip the platform. There we go.
Very nice.
That was good heavy machinery.
Yeah, those platforms, you're supposed to jump on them at the end and they kind of shoot you up, but you can actually spin the side of them and they propel you up anyway.
Right, and this is the last gem skip we have in the game.
Cortex Power. This one used to be really a huge run killer for people because there was no consistent setup found for a while. And so people would just get here halfway through their speedrun and it would just be a coin flip whether you got the clip onto the wall or not. I've seen some pretty funny theory videos from that time of people trying to figure out how to get the skip without having to do the really hard clip. Some people went like extremely out of bounds with this level and went around like the entire outside of the back. But luckily we found, I think it was a runner named Koji that found a consistent setup. Maybe I might be wrong on that actually. It might have been the 8-bit beast, a tasser of this game. Regardless, luckily we have a consistent setup now, and this is the first part. We're clipping onto this wall here and doing a wall climb to get to the entrance of the gem path. And that last part is actually technically a wrong warp, I believe.
Oh.
So we kind of warp onto the toxic waste there and are able to just jump out of it safely.
Oh, wow.
The second part is, the one that we now have the consistent setup for. And he got it.
Alright, the super tense box bridge after you do all that.
Right. Yeah, essentially he clipped onto the wall and did a sub jump off of that. It's actually kind of harder than it looks too, and I know it doesn't look easy, but you can actually bonk on the wall if your timing is slightly off or positioning is slightly off, so it's always nice to get.
Yeah, so we mentioned 8-bit Beast, the tasser for this game. He made a 100% task pretty recently, like within the last year, that is very good. So if you're interested in more Crash 1, definitely check that out.
It is very entertaining. I would also recommend it. It was also made, I believe, right before Rolling Stone Skip was discovered. So he made the tasks, did all that work, and then we found Rolling Stone Skip, and he wasn't about to he would have to redo the entire thing because of global cycles and everything. So the current task doesn't have Rolling Stone Skip. A little unfortunate timing, but apparently that kind of thing happens in tasking all the time, where something gets found right after a task is completed.
I think one of the mask hints in this level tells you that you can like jump on the Cortex screens and it'll feel good, like as if you're stomping Cortex.
So silly. The next boss is Pinstripe. A lot of people don't like the changed Japanese music for his boss fight. I personally really like it, but I can agree that it's not the most fitting for the kind of aesthetic versus the other versions. But it does have a catchy tune, I think.
I think the Pinstripe one might be my favorite of like the new music tracks.
Yeah. Toxic Waste is a level you really want to have consistent zigzag for, since it's literally just you going forward, but the walkway is very narrow, so it can be very easy to zigzag off the side if you're not careful.
I've done that many times. Would not be surprised to see it today.
Oh.
It's also kind of a weird perspective because the camera's very low and the ramps mess up your timing when you're jumping on them.
Luckily for a lot of these barrels, and this would have been nice to know as a kid, but you can actually just jump around the side of them like we see Luca doing. It makes this level a lot easier rather than having to actually time your positioning, like be in the correct position for the bouncing barrels. That mask right there is actually new to the Japanese version. I sometimes forget that, but there's not a mask there in the other versions. There's three new masks for this version. There's that mask, and then there's one in Jaws of Darkness and the lab, which are all later.
One of the hints in this level also mentions jumping around the barrels, so it would have been nice to have this version and known what that said, like playing as a kid.
Yeah, I've been surprised because I had no idea what a lot of these mask hints translated to until today when Luca looked them up and shared them with me. So it's funny how a lot of them are, I don't know, it's things that like they're actually helpful hints, and it's things that I've learned as a speedrunner of this game, and I just think it's funny. It's probably just things that people found while testing the game or localizing it. We actually waited a cycle on Pinstripe. Luca didn't hit him at the first available moment because if you actually wait one of the first cycles out, it makes the boss fight overall faster. And the any percent task for this by Pirohiko is pretty old. It's from 2013, and that task does not wait on that cycle, and so it actually gets a slower Pinstripe. So as long as you do that boss fight the correct way, you will actually save time over the tasks, any percent tasks.
Also a very good task, by the way, even though it's a tiny bit dated, but a lot of really cool strats going on in any percent too. I think, does the any percent task also use J?
It does, yes.
Okay. Yeah, in RTA we use U usually, but...
Yeah, I don't know why exactly it ends up being faster, but I know that because of they can manipulate the RNG so that the box screens are as short as possible if you missed boxes. This level is different in the Japanese version. It's a lot shorter. They basically took the very last part of the level and they just cut it out completely. So normally here there'd be a checkpoint and there would be an entire final section of the level, but it just ends here.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, if you like jump out past the ending portal, you can see the camera still moves on its rails. Alright, Sunset Vista, the longest level in the game and one of the toughest. So, see how this goes.
We're death abusing at the start to get consistent cycles, but also because the cycles in this level actually tend to desync. We think due to the fact that they switched this level with Slippery Climb, because those cycles also desync. They can be pretty weird if you don't death abuse.
I was trying to get a really fast cycle by doing that jump up onto the pusher earlier, but now since I lost the mask, I'm gonna drop behind one cycle. It's I think about a 10-second time loss if to getting like the optimal sunset. I couldn't remember if you could get on top of that. Alright. I'll have to do a little bit of improv now. This is definitely the level I'd say is the most fortunate that like death abusing gets you good cycles on.
This level also has a bonus round that we actually do need to go into. Most of the time we're skipping the bonus rounds because the boxes in those don't count for completion. But the Cortex token bonus rounds have keys in them. There's 2 of them in the game, so there's 2 secret levels that are unlocked by those.
Yeah, there's kind of 2 things to keep in mind then. You have to get all the boxes without dying in this level, but also you have to get all the Cortex token and like successfully beat it and get the key from that. Okay, this is a little weird, but it's going alright. After you play and practice the same cycles for so long, it feels really awkward trying to sort of play it at a more casual pace. Okay, that was close. I think that might have been a little bit of a ledge jump. Alright, got to the Cortex bonus though.
I know we've sort of been mentioning it as the run's been going on, but if you had to kind of condense the main, the main reasons why this run makes sense to do on NTSCJ, how would you do that? There was just somebody in the chat that was just like asking, you know, what's the gist of it? Why NTSCJ for this?
The single biggest difference by far is the red gem being placed before Road to Nowhere, so that saves us basically doing a whole level. Whoops. Everything else is kind of pocket change compared to that one.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean the high road being shorter saves, yeah, not that much time, but that is a change. Some things are slower, like the Papu having 5 health makes it a little slower, but yeah, definitely only having to do Road to Nowhere once is the biggest thing.
In the prototype version for this game, the last floor actually goes on for a while too, and it's insanely hard. So it's kind of good for us that they cut that short.
Yeah, that's another instance where the camera still follows you. If you were to like jump past the portal to the right, the camera will still follow you because it's left over from the prototype.
Alright, lights out, dark level. The mask acts as your light. With zigzag, you pretty much are never in the dark unless you get hit, so that's good.
There's a lot of cool sub jumps and stuff you can do on the sides. Apparently the mask hints also tell you about that you can go on the sides to help you. Sometimes it just depends how the cycles kind of line up, whether you have to do that.
Yeah, when I was looking up the translations, I was very surprised at like how helpful they actually were, even if you're a speedrunner.
Yeah, this is one of the 3 levels we actually have to revisit. There's like a vertical section. You need the yellow gem from the lab, which is the last level in the game. There's no real way to get up there, and again, it's a it's an issue of, are the boxes loaded? And it looks like they're not. So if we find a way to get them loaded and to get up there, we have to do this level twice.
Oh, someone was curious as whether the TAS does the level without the mask.
Maybe for some parts of it. I don't know if I remember.
I don't remember either, but I feel like they probably do get the masks. I don't really know. I guess it technically is time loss having to skip through the mask hints. But yeah, I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I was wondering if them like being in the way and you wanting to be spinning as much as possible, it might have just been better to get them. But
perhaps. Jaws of Darkness, this has our second Cortex bonus round that we need to get the key. This one unlocks Fumbling in the Dark. The other one unlocked Whole Hog, which will be the probably the last level we do for this run in particular.
there's a really sneaky box off screen there. This level's just kind of evil, because there's that box you can't see, and then later on there's like an enemy right in front of a box that has a Cortex bonus token in it, and so if you're not careful, it's extremely easy to like spin the enemy into that box, and then it gets rid of the token, you can't grab it. Snake right here. I like to just line up on these pillars, and then you always get a good angle on the spin.
Some people also like to jump on top of the snake. That also solves the problem. You just don't want to accidentally get hit by the snake, because then it will also go forward and snipe the Cortex token.
Sub jump there to skip waiting for the box. I used to do the jump on the snake strat, and then that exact thing you said happened to me, and I was like, never again.
Yeah. There's a lot of things like that in this game, where you do things one way, and then it fails you, and then you never again. Especially with how punishing this game is. This game is very scary for a marathon setting, because of how punishing it is. Again, one mistake or death leads to minutes of time loss. But this run's been very good so far, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm happy to make it through Jaws alive, because that's another one of the longest probably, and near the end I think you're losing 2+ minutes for sure.
Yeah, it's good to get the Cortex or the key in one go. Sometimes if you're trying to do the bonus fast, you can accidentally die or not get the key or something, and in that case you would have to basically do the level again and get into the bonus. This game's very dated in a lot of ways, most notably with like the saving system is pretty archaic, but things like that too. Like in the remake of the game, if you fail the bonus, then I'm pretty sure you can just do it again, but for this one, if you die, then you just have to do the entire level again, get all of the tokens again.
Yeah, this level has a very long cycle right at the end of it, so basically through the entire level we're trying to move fast enough to catch that.
Yeah, it used to be thought that this cycle, it was like confusing people for the longest time, and people thought that the cycle started when you entered the level, but recently we found out that it is just a normal global cycle. It just happens to be very long, and the cycles reset not just when you die, but global cycles reset when you respawn in a level. So if you're respawning from the Cortex bonus, like in Jaws, that's when the cycles start, basically. And so depending on how you do the ending of Jaws, it can impact when exactly that cycle is going to show up in this level.
Bit of a scary part here.
Yeah, nice box bridge. There's a ton of different ways to handle that box bridge, but that's probably the fastest way.
Looks like we made the cycle at a pretty good time too. It's just coming down when I got there.
Yeah,
Can't be 100% sure, but I think that was a fast one.
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah. It's nice to use the masks sometimes to damage, like on those pipes. Just small little skips like that are kind of fun, cheeky.
The downside is that you never have masks in this game, so it's way easier to die.
Fun fact about Brio here is it's the only boss in the game that you have to buffer a triangle input to skip the intro cutscene. All of the other ones that you can skip, you can just like mash triangle, but for this one you have to be holding triangle while entering the boss fight.
I think one of the hints in Castle Machinery says that like the green blobs that he throws are his souls or something, so that explains why killing them hurts Brio. I don't know about you, Joey. I always felt like the health bar didn't necessarily represent Brio himself, but it's neither.
I never tried to think about it too much, and I never questioned it, but yeah.
Probably for the best.
Yeah. So this is the lab. This is where we get the yellow gem. You'll notice there's a mask at the start. That is Japanese exclusive. Also in Jaws of Darkness, there is a mask at the start that is exclusive to the Japanese version. And in both of those levels, it is very appreciated. When I started running this category, I ran it on NTSCU because that's all I had. And doing this level without a mask is pretty scary because there's a lot of hazards. You can again spin through the electricity, kind of like the spears in the temple ruins levels in Jaws of Darkness. But it can be pretty precise. It can be pretty scary, so it is nice to have the mask in case something happens.
Yeah, especially that part right there. I would have died if it was the American version.
GG's on getting that one room, by the way. There's a room that...
Yeah.
Giving Luca a bit of trouble.
I missed it a lot in practice. Thanks.
So we have the yellow gem, so we can do lights out now. We're now beginning the backtracking portion of the run, which is not that many at this level of gameplay since we did a lot of skips, but we're going to go into fumbling in the dark first because it sets up cycles better for lights out if you go fast.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest part right there, all those sub jumps in a row. Do one more here if I can. Good. And here, actually, I forgot about that one. There's a lot going on in this level. I don't know for sure, but so far it feels fast enough to get good lights out cycles. I'll know, yeah, right here. So if I see the sights being in that spot, I know I'm good. But since the cycles are still running, I still have to play like the beginning of part of lights out pretty well until I get to the moving platforms.
My heart is like pounding. That's such a scary level for right at the end of the run too, especially if you're trying to get like fast strats and fast cycles.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Catch up here. Alright, now we're good. Yeah, that's about the best you can do. A lot of the like cycles, especially carryover cycle routing, was found by the current world record holder Tet. He's done a lot of work optimizing strats for this game.
Huge shout outs to Tet. He has a lot of just resources on this game too, so he has made it really easy for new runners to pick up the game. There's a lot of tutorials and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Nice.
I'm glad you got that one sub jump, by the way, because it seems to drop my jump every other time I do it, so it was a big
the one
relief.
After the first checkpoint?
Yes, that's the one.
Here. Yeah. I usually try to jump past it, but I guess I forgot this time, so I was thinking the same thing. I got lucky a little bit.
Nice. We're doing kind of a safe route here. Normally, optimally, you'd go into whole hog first, just saves a bit of map movement, but it's nice to do this level with a mask just for safety.
Yeah, there's one TNT in the middle that I'm just gonna use the mask on, instead of having to kind of awkwardly spin all the boxes around it. Okay. I got a weird momentum there. That's very scary.
Yeah.
Seems to happen to me a lot when I'm trying to zigzag down, and on those pillars, it's very, very easy to die between them. Alright, so now I'm trying to zigzag pretty fast, because at the end of the level, there's a gem platform that takes you down into the hole. And we want to ideally get on it and ride it down before the boulder catches up to us. So it's a little bit tense. Alright, boulder skip.
It's one of the times where the boulder being slower on J is really nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Just one level left. It's called Whole Hog. It's an easy auto-scroller.
Good one. It's a woefully unfinished auto-scroller. It has a lot of weird stuff that can happen.
That's good.
There are ways to avoid the glitches, but yeah.
So for the beginning, I'm just holding nothing, and none of the obstacles hit you. It's pretty great. The first problem coming up is one of these boxes. You can just run over it without breaking it, so I'm going to try and set up a certain way. Alright, we're good. And this thing is really annoying to jump over. Got that too.
Nice.
go this way and then this way. There's one more box that can sometimes give you trouble, but it's not as big of a problem as the earlier one. Okay, cool.
So now we're just going to the Great Hall, which is sort of the secret ending of this game, you could say. And when we reach the end of that, that'll be time.
Yeah, if you, even though the U version is less optimal, there's a really funny strat where you can like use a password to sort of go to the end of the game after backtracking, since we allow passwords if you've seen them already.
We never really talked about the percentages, but you notice it jumped from 35 straight to 100. It's just one of the quirks of this game. You get 1% from every gem and a couple from keys, but the missing percent comes from level completion, which doesn't fill in until we get the last gem.
Yeah. All right, and that's it. We don't even have to fight the final boss because this is the 100% ending.
Nice.
Let's go.
GG's. What a run.
Yeah.
That was
Oh, I
actually
forgot to say time,
insanely
but-
good.
That is time.
Yeah, that's really solid.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
It's like 103.30 was the final time.
Yep, that's about what I have.
Awesome. Well, you two, thank you so much. If folks were interested in the Crash series, I know there's a big community behind it. Whereabouts can they sort of get tapped in to learn a little bit more?
So we have a Discord you can find on speedrun.com page, or really just feel free to DM us. And I think most people are more than happy to help you get into it if you want to.
Nice. And we had some shout outs throughout the run, but have you got any sort of last shout outs?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Joey for commentating with me. Thanks a lot. And to the whole Crash community, and also to GDQ for having me on the Hotfix. Thanks a lot.
No problem. And now's your chance to shout out yourself. If folks want to see more of what you do, whether it's Crash or maybe anything else, now's the time to, give yourself a little bit of a starting point, a little bit of a sales pitch.
Yeah, mostly what I do is just speedrun the original Crash trilogy, all the main categories, and you can find me at Lucademus on Twitch or YouTube.
Fab. Joey, if folks want to see what you do.
So my Twitch is Joey Kostelik. That's my last name. You can probably find it easier through speedrun.com or something. But same for YouTube as well. I mostly run this game, a little bit of the other Crash trilogy games, but I mostly focus on Crash 1 100%.
Awesome. Wow, great stuff, folks. That is Going Places wrapped up for tonight. If you missed it earlier, you can, of course, find us on YouTube. In about a week or so, we will have the VOD of this back up, and you can catch Spyro 1 and 2 that we had earlier on in the evening. But not only have we got Summer Games Done Quick coming up at the end of the month, not only have we got Juneteenth this weekend, not only have we got the next Flame for Towels in August, we've got so much going on, but we've got Passion Project coming up after this. I got some clarification. We are, in fact, going to be seeing Unmetal next, which is a game inspired by the Metal Gear games. So if you're feeling the PS1 vibes and you want to be seeing a little more of things like that, then hey, we've got the right thing for you coming up next. We are going to be throwing it over to Amber Cyprin and then the runners and, well, the rest of the talent that we have got for you this evening. But that is all from us. When it comes to Going Places, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. But in the meantime, make sure you're taking care of yourselves. Have a lovely morning, evening, afternoon, and do check out the wonderful talent that we have had on for this show. But until 2 weeks' time. See you in a bit, folks.